I had no doubt for a minute that we would liberate our territory. It was only a matter of time. I knew we had nowhere to retreat and would not retreat. I expected a counterattack from the very first day. We are military, so we were waiting for an order. After we entered Udi and saw how the enemy abandoned everything, fled from us, abandoned their 200, abandoned property, ammunition, and weapons, I understood that this trend would continue. It was inspiring that we would pass it quickly and win faster. When there was a counteroffensive, it was somehow already visible that our gunners could work while we were walking and marching for 4 hours. The ground just didn't stop rumbling from the shots. Also, we entered into the grids, which were cleared with 125, 120 millimeters artillery, and it was already possible to go there. Back in March, we took up the lines of defense in Balaklia's direction, and we stood there, waiting for all our forces to come together to go forward.
The armed forces of Ukraine continue a whirlwind counteroffensive in Kharkiv region.
For the enemy, it was a surprise. Really, at that time. For us, the Kharkiv operation began on September 6th. We entered Wolokiv Yar at about 4 in the evening. Before that, we enveloped Balaklia, which was already in our mousetrap, and knocked out the enemy from there.
Balaklia became the first big city where the blue-yellow flag waved.
The 8th of September, 4 a.m. The city of Balaklia, Kharkiv region, has been taken under control. We entered Balaklia the same day. Firstly to the camps. The same evening we entered Balaklia itself, set up combat posts for the night, and the next day we crossed the bridge and were moving towards Izium. When we entered Balaklia, locals rejoiced. Some man was riding a bicycle and started hugging us. I said, "Nunki, we have a lot of weapons, enough hugging." Why, there was such a slender feeling of euphoria. There was a lot of gratitude from locals who lived there all this time under oppression of invaders. Many people met us with tears in their eyes. There were a lot of them. They were bringing everything for us, everything they could, everything they had. At that time, we were eating mostly dry rations. This is what we carried with us. Water, dry rations. This is what was available to us. The locals brought us borscht. It was actually a mushroom season. Potatoes with mushrooms. Someone brought dumplings. Someone brought preserves, some vegetables, fruits, everything. They brought a compote drink. They were interested in how we were doing and thanked us. It was very nice. We came into the house. The children were happy over there. They were given a bunch of chevrons. Well, it was kind of cool. You come in and they ask you, "How old are you?" And they brought us cucumbers, tomatoes, apples, and grapes from every house. It was nice. We realized that we were doing this for a reason. It was all based on such patriotism, on such a sense of respect. We felt that we were respected, not forgotten, and expected. People ran outside in the villages, met us with flags, and said right away, "In that house, which is empty, collaborators lived there. It is advisable to check there." That is, they immediately helped. They told where the enemy could be, and who was unfriendly to Ukraine.
A counteroffensive continues in several directions.
We entered Wolokiv Yar and started to attack it. The enemy didn't expect this. They tried to hold it, but they didn't succeed. On the first day, we recaptured half of the village, up to the highway that runs from Kharkiv to Izium. It was kept for the whole night. Since dawn, we continued stabilization measures in the village, and already by noon, the settlement was under our control and cleared of invaders. The task was to enter the settlement. We followed the armed forces and carried out stabilization measures. After Balaklia, we counted that there would be enough trophy vehicles to supply a platoon, 1 APC for each, 1 tank, 1 APS. It was good. There were a lot of trophies. At that time, we believed that the Russian Federation provided us with the best lease. It lasted about 2 days, maybe a little less. And then we set off in the Izium direction. We entered Izium. The city was smashed. When you see a 9-story building that is simply cleaved in two, one 9-story building became 2. The floors have been folded. Terrible picture. The most destroyed city I have ever seen.
Числа нам був відданий, точніше 9-го вночі відданий наказ.
On the 10th of September, more precisely, on the night of the 9th, we were given an order to assault Kupiansk. Around 5 o'clock in the morning, we drove to Kupiansk, Vuzlovi, Kivsharivka, Blahodativka, Novosilovy, Kivsharivka, Blahodativka, Novosainove, and by this route we reached Bahuslavaka. We entered Stelmakivka. For almost a week, we were in Stelmakivka. There were battles there. Our vehicles were destroyed there by the Russians when we cut off the enemy's counterattack. They tried to regain their positions. There were stiff battles, tank shelling, and air raids. It was already a test of reliability.
The Russians started running away. And at 2:30 in the morning, the shelling began. They themselves set fire to their deployment point, where they were, covered up traces shortly.
Large-scale destruction has already been seen. Behind Kupianska, destruction of buildings. There were many corpses of Muscovites. We had no time to pick them and bury them. They just lay all over broken positions in the middle of the road, in puddles, in the mud, and the stench. There was a terrible stench all the way.
The first 2 cars with Ukrainian soldiers were the first to enter our street. They were met with tears of joy. Honestly speaking, they had been waiting for them, but just didn't expect they would come so suddenly. They had been waiting for them for half a year, and they were very happy.